Hey there, I'm Chris Kroll, Editor-in-Chief of Solar Builder Magazine, and today we're taking a closer look at Qcells' newest addition to its home energy lineup, the Q.HOME CORE G3, an AC-coupled storage system designed for installers who want more flexibility in both retrofits and whole home backup. Here to make the pitch today is Kam Shiota, Head of System Engineering for Qcells. Hey Kam, thanks for taking the time today.
Great to be with you, Chris. Thank you for having us.
So to start things off, I was hoping you could just walk us through the basics of the latest addition to the Q.HOME CORE lineup.
I think you're familiar, and most of the audience is familiar with Qcells PV modules and our existing ESS battery solution, which is a modular integrated DC coupled hybrid inverter. With our third generation platform, we've gone to an AC coupled platform. And essentially, this is a platform where we have not only our PV modules, but also a microinverter that's pre-attached, pre-installed, pre-wired. Basically, we call it the AC module, right? The Qtron AC module. This is a Qcells microinverter. It's one that we designed, we developed, and then it ties in the output of a number of AC modules into what we call an AC combiner. And so those are the building blocks: the AC module, the combiner, the battery, and a hub, which brings it all together where you can put in a generator input and connect to the grid. And so we've taken the approach to come up with an AC coupled system with a lot of different capabilities.
That's interesting because I was wondering, usually the step to the AC coupled storage system is with the idea of gaining retrofit installations, maybe paired with, an existing microinverter system out there, but which this would, I assume, still be able to do. But this is, with you having your own microinverter, it is still really looking at kind of new build situation and taking the Qcells platform just from beginning to end and offering that AC coupled solution that way. That's interesting.
You can take, 11 modules per branch circuit, and then have 4 branch circuits. So imagine a combiner that has 4 20-amp circuits, and each circuit can have up to 11 modules. So that's the PV portion, and that essentially would tie to the grid to do PV only. So let's say somebody wanted to do backup or arbitrage, grid support, right? Play in a VPP type program. So that's where you bring in the battery, right? So we can bring a Qcells battery, which is a 13.1 kilowatt hour storage and a 7.6 kilowatt inverter built in. Put 2 of those together to get up to 26.2 kilowatt hours storage. So now you could do the arbitrage. Now, if you wanted to do backup and really back up the home in the case of a power outage, that's where you add the hub. And the hub has the automatic transfer switch in there to disconnect the grid from the home, and also the auto transformer in there and the communication. So just to answer your question, the system is designed with a lot of flexibility. So using all Qcells, you could do solar only, or you could do grid support, or you could do backup, either whole home or partial home. But beyond that, we could take our battery and pair that to existing rooftop PV. So the retrofit question comes in. If somebody has PV already and they wanted to do backup, we could provide the hub and our Gen 3 battery, Q.HOME CORE Smart. And now that ties in storage to an existing PV, and it could be microinverters on the roof or optimizers on the roof or just a basic string inverter. This battery will pair with that.
Is the DC coupled version of the core, is that going to be kind of like obsolete, or will you still be offering that as well?
We expect to continue to sell that into the early part of 2026. And while we are now ramping up sales of our Gen 3 AC coupled platform, and so we will continue to support both flavors for a period of time, but at some point there will be a sunset of the existing platform and drive more on our future platforms, such as our Gen 3.
What functionality is included in the hub? Can I connect maybe an EV charger or a generator, or is there other type of energy management, power control functionality inside that?
Yes, good We do have a couple of capabilities in there. First of all, it's to tie in essentially the two battery outputs, and then also tie in the grid and the PV input, right? And then in addition to that, you can bring in a generator input. And there is additional auxiliary inputs, for example, for other types of loads, whether it's a source or a load. So we have that into the hub. Primarily, the function is to disconnect from the grid, during backup configuration, and then also obviously create the neutral when that's needed. In addition to that, communication and monitoring is tied in there. That's where we have a gateway that's collecting input from the batteries and from the PV, and then communicating that off to the cloud. And as you know, Chris, with this particular platform, we have module level visibility. So every AC module is communicating through PLC, power line communication, the output of that module, whether it's voltage, current, temperature, power, and so forth, to the gateway. And then from the gateway, we can connect it through cellular or through Wi-Fi or through Ethernet. So that's the other function. It's essentially collecting and transporting data and bidirectional.
The system is really kind of like the picture of it's really coming together. The broader Q.HOME Smart AC platform, as you've mentioned, from the modules to the combiner, the hub, and then you bring in the app, the QOMMAND app, connecting the solar storage energy management systems together in that app. You kind of see it all over, but with the ecosystem you have, it makes it pretty interesting. Is there anything in particular you'd like to point out about the app?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we looked at a lot of the apps before we developed this one. We have two versions of it. We have what we call Command Home, which is for the homeowner. And now the homeowner is looking at the important information they need to look at. What's the production? Is my system working? Is there an alert? And the homeowner can also adjust settings, for example, if they want to switch it to a particular mode. So the types of things a homeowner wants to do. And then we have a version for the installer, which is called Command Pro. And that's where the installer is walking up, scanning a QR code, creating a site, uploading the firmware updates, and then going through commissioning process. So it's similar in many ways to what people are used to, but we've tailored it obviously for a complete system from Qcells. So you can monitor the PV production, the storage, how much you're exporting or importing, and make settings, and again, display the individual panel output power and so on.
As you mentioned, the commissioning happens through the Command Pro app. How much time can a crew realistically save on a standard installation?
So from an installation standpoint, we think we're saving some time, and we've gotten feedback from installers where they're not having to source, let's say, two components like the micro inverter plus the module, and then looking at the supply chain aspects of logistics. Where do they bring them in, where they store them, how do they couple them, and things like that. So there's some benefit in receiving an AC module that already has a microinverter pre-attached, installed, wired, and tested. So you're just carrying that AC module straight up on the roof and installing it on the racking. So there's some time savings there. And then we've made a couple other tricks in there where the combiner actually has a 7-segment display. The moment you close one of those branch circuit breakers, it automatically connects to individual microinverters, AC modules, and starts counting how many modules are connected. And usually within 30 seconds to a minute, it's already recognized everything that's up on the roof. That tells me that the interconnection is done, the wiring is done, and I don't need to go back up there and check something or look for it. So there's some time saving in the process of not having to couple two components on the roof. And then there's the built-in diagnostics that's communicating. And then mounting the battery and the hub on the wall is pretty straightforward. You have to attach a bracket, and then the battery and the hub basically gets installed on that. And that installation time is very similar to what you may see with other products.
Qcells is also leaning into like digital services in general, right? Remote diagnostics, the firmware updates. How does that connectivity translate into real world operational benefits, either for homeowners or maybe on the installer side for like fewer truck rolls?
From a monitoring portal standpoint, we've talked about Command Pro for an installer perspective, where they're installing and commissioning. But what that really ties into is essentially what we call fleet management. And that's one layer above, where an installer or a third-party asset owner might be looking at their entire fleet. Somebody might set a threshold of what the production needs to be and then have an alert if the production went down, right? Or if there's a fault in the system, we say essentially know before you go, right? So utilizing the fleet manager tool, one can look at all their sites and determine where services may be needed. They can diagnose in quite some detail what the issue is and prepare their service team to proactively, either try to fix it online, or if they have to go out to do a truck roll, they will know exactly what they need to do before they get there.
Qcells is now bundling manufacturer-backed financing through EnFin and offering product rebates when pairing the G3 with other Qcells components. That seems especially intriguing given the residential market kind of post-tax credit going forward, and just the evolution of financing. Are you seeing that, sensing that as maybe a differentiator for a brand like Qcells that can offer the complete system?
Absolutely, and I think initially it was intended to be a differentiator so that we could offer a complete solution. What Qcells wants to be able to deliver is essentially a single point of contact, single phone call, single manufacturer that can provide a complete energy solution. But what's happened now, a couple of other major financiers have gone out of business. So now EnFin is doing really well, and we're being very well adopted and received, and it's in the top 5 financiers in the country now. Last time I checked, a customer knowing that this is also from Qcells, they know that they have bankable, trusted partner that they can go to for a complete solution. And I might also add, Chris, that we have, for example, a 15-year warranty on the battery, right? A 25-year warranty on the panels and the power electronics. But when you pair in our financing with the modules, we have some additional incentives that can benefit homeowners and installers. And for example, we've extended the warranty to 30 years, right? Whoa. When you do a complete system solution for the PV module and that aspect of it. So there's interesting programs that allow us to offer a greater value to installers and to homeowners because they're buying a complete system solution. And it also means, essentially one entire warranty from one partner. And that partner, Qcells, has vetted the product, the solution. We've tested that, in our labs. We've tested it in the field. We're standing behind that. There's no need to mix and match things and then see what happens. We're doing that for you.
So Qcells has really made a lot of investments, Hanwha Qcells, in U.S. manufacturing for like the last 10 years, really, and kind of building out a full supply chain. I was hoping as we wrap up here, if you could kind of give me that snapshot and then let us know if what we're talking about today, if you're going to have the batteries and the G3 manufactured here as well.
That's a great question, Chris. So, today our AC modules, right? The PV module itself is made in Dalton, Georgia. And our microinverter is made in Michigan, in the US here, right? So both the microinverter and the PV module are built in the US. The microinverter gets attached to the module in Dalton. And from Dalton, Georgia, we ship out an AC module into our distribution channel and to customers, right? So that essentially meets domestic content guidelines, certain percentages and so forth. Our battery today is still manufactured offshore, And our plan is to migrate that to manufacturing in the US and with domestic content adders. Means buying certain components and materials from within the US. And that is slated for April timeframe of 2026. So first half of 2026, we will have our domestic content adder for the battery made here in the US with that'll meet the DCA content requirements.
Between domestic content that Qcells has and just in general, the market's need for domestic content, growing backup demand, AC coupled, a trend, just everything that's tying into what Qcells is doing just makes a ton of sense to me. How do you see this shaping what's next for installers who want to standardize with one full brand?
Essentially, the one additional thing about the Gen 3 platform, the AC coupled platform, is I'm thinking of me being a homeowner. You know, what happens in 10, 15, 20 years if I have to change the battery? It's going to be a lot easier to have it so that I can pull out a battery, put another AC coupled battery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we're testing the interoperability between different suppliers, if you will, all right, for a system. So there's some risk mitigation there, that as we go forward and we introduce new batteries and new AC modules, there will be some backward compatibility to that. And we're already working on future development of bigger and better batteries, bigger and better AC modules, and new system architectures, and so on.
Yeah, it never stops, does it? As soon as we talk about the latest and greatest thing, you already have to give a sneak peek on what the next latest and greatest thing is going to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Kam, thanks for taking time today in your busy schedule to stop by and make the pitch today.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for having us on your call here. I've enjoyed it, and we look forward to supporting the North American market here with solutions, complete solutions from Qcells, so that you can have some peace of mind.